Hello, welcome to another installment of Invitations to Math. I am David Jackson with Hypatia Math Ed. So, my daughter was working on something related to the video we just did. I'm blanking, I'm sorry. She was working on something related to Old English sheet counting, and she had a question for me, which gave me an idea for another video in relation to this topic. Which is a question, because mathematics is a science, and it's important to ask questions and then follow up those questions. You literally go through, when you're doing mathematics, you go through the scientific process. You pose a question, you make a guess, then you test it, make observations, and then you have more questions based on those observations. Maybe you stumble upon some kind of theory, but that's what mathematics is about. And the great thing about mathematics is you don't need special equipment. You can literally do it with a stick in the sand, like Archimedes used to do. Or the fad right now is, do mathematics on a napkin at a restaurant, right? Share it that way. How much mathematics is done on a napkin? Kind of like, how many angels fit on the head of a pin. But, so form new questions based on ideas that you've played around with and explore and see what comes up with. So the idea here is, what questions can we ask about, or how can we play around with this idea of Old English sheet counting? Well, it involved separating sheep into 2 pens. How about 3 pens? If you were a wealthy shepherd and you had 3 pens, you could speed up the process, possibly. So the question that I was asked by my daughter was, she was working on the idea of 3 pens. How does that work? Do I get rid of 1 pen or 2 after I've done the division? Well, that's a good question. You're only trying to count the number in the groups at each stage, so you only need 1 pen, so you can throw away 2. Okay, so let's play around with this idea. What kind of numbering system would result from this? You may already have a guess, so I'll give you a few moments to think about that before I continue and see if you've got the idea behind what's going to result from this new structure of the sheet counting. Okay, so take a few moments to think about what kind of numbering system might result. Okay, so let's take a decimal number this time and see if we can turn it into an Old English sheet count modified with 3 pens. So let's see, let's try the number 36. So 36 in decimal. And I'm just going to put a little 10 down there to highlight the fact that, well, let me write that bigger. It occurs to me that I need to start writing a little bit bigger, perhaps, so you can see better. Okay, so 36 sub 10, meaning that it's decimal, because most of you know decimal has something to do with tens. So we'll put a little subscript 10 there to let us know that we're talking about 36, the usual decimal number. Okay, so let's turn that into an Old English sheet counting record, but using 3 pens. So how do we do that? Well, we're just going to divide that number of sheep into 3 different pens, and then count the remainders each time and record them from right to left, as we did before. So we can do this with a tree diagram. There are other ways to approach this, but let's try a tree diagram. So we've got 36. So we were going to have 12 in each, and there's a remainder of 0. And then we have we throw those out and keep 1 pen of sheep, and then divide that again. So we've got 4, 4, and 4, and a remainder of 0. And then again, we're going to have 1, 1, 1, and 1. and then we're just left with 1. So we end up with the number, the first remainder that we got was a 0. So in the Old English sheep counting with 3 pens, we're going to have a 0 for the first remainder, and then a 0 for the second remainder, and then a 1 for the third remainder, and then a 1 for the final remainder. Okay? And so I could just write it as a little subscript 3 there. Okay? So there you have it. 36 in decimal would be 1100 in Old English sheep counting using 3 pens. So play around with that and have some fun with it, and I will see you again later. Bye.